Today I'm going to tell you how I became a bug bounty millionaire for just one single day. I was just spending an evening hunting on a program when I found something interesting to do with Stripe. Stripe is a kind of payment service similar to PayPal or Payoneer, but they are targeting companies and they are self-proclaimed designed for developers. Now, I couldn't really see any vulnerabilities in the program I was hunting on. It had some integrations with the Stripe API, but I was just looking at the Stripe API and looking at the authorization system, which uses bearer tokens. And these bearer tokens, they start with sk_live_ and then your token. And whilst playing around with that on GitHub, I accidentally stumbled across a very interesting result. And that result was one of these tokens, or what looked like a token, in a public repository. Now I was very, very curious as to whether this token would be valid. So what did I do? I sent a GET request to api.stripe.com/v1/balance with that bearer token, and I got this as a response. And now that is a lot of numbers. And before you correct me here and say, well, that is 190 million, I should say that Stripe stores their balance in cents. So we just have to put a comma here. And now it's 1.9 million of a currency called SGD, which apparently stands for Singapore dollar. Now, I did not have a single clue how strong this currency was or what this amount would be in USD until I Googled it, and it turned out to be 1.39 million US dollars, which just blew my mind. And that is obviously where the whole story got really interesting. Because with this bearer token, I was technically able to transfer funds between Stripe accounts, and I effectively was a millionaire. I could just transfer all that money to my account, but I didn't. I did not do that because I'm an ethical hacker. And I don't want to potentially bankrupt a company. I don't want people to lose their jobs. Because when I became a hacker, I wanted to make the world a better and safer place. And that's what I did. Even though I knew I was not going to get a bounty because this company didn't have a bug bounty program, because I randomly stumbled upon this. But even with that being the case, I still immediately contacted the company and made sure that no one would be able to find that bearer token or would be able to use it. I think of myself, or I think that I acted in an ethical way there. But ethics is a strange field, because I'm almost certain that not everybody is going to agree with me. You might have some people saying that I shouldn't have tried to use the bearer token without permission, because I didn't know who it belonged to, and I pretty much, just gained access without permission. And that's valid. But others may say that if I hadn't attempted to use a token, then I wouldn't been able to let the company know that their token was somewhere publicly, and then I would potentially knowingly have left the company vulnerable to real attackers. Ethics are incredibly hard to define. Heck, even making this clickbaity video could be considered unethical. And for the remainder of the video, I want to talk a bit about ethics. As a teenager, I believed that the law defined ethics. So the law says what is and what isn't ethical, because you're allowed to do things and you're disallowed to do other things. However, as I grew up, I noticed that that really isn't always the case. Ethics are very much up to interpretation, and they can even range drastically between people living next to each other, where for those people living next to each other, the same laws apply, but their ethics could be different. Ethics are just kind of guidelines, and we as people, we can choose whether to follow them or whether not to follow them. They are abstract and not written down. The objective of ethics is also milder than with the law, because the law is created with the intent of social order and peace in the society, whereas ethics are made to help people decide on what is right or wrong, and how to act on their own account. Now, in most situations, the law and ethics, they overlap. We don't murder people, not just because the law says so, but also because we know it's wrong, or ethics say, hey, that's wrong. But in some situations there are differences, and cybersecurity is a field where the law is really blurry. In some countries there aren't any rules, and in other countries the rules are very strict. And as an ethical hacker, you are often dealing with cross-border situations, and you never really know what laws apply to you, what laws you have to abide by. So ethical hackers, they mainly go off ethics. And that's where you can get very interesting opinions. I think there are very little fields where people can deal with such incredibly critical systems or information, things that can impact a huge amount of people, and yet there is so much ambiguity. At what point is someone a criminal or a Robin Hood? It's a very strange place, and I think that we have to admire the ethical hackers that have really good values, that have these good ethics. Because these are the people that have had the chance to turn bad, to potentially make a ton of money or cause a ton of chaos. But they didn't. Maybe it's a skill we should put up on our CVs, maybe we should just stay quiet about it. But I wanted to make this video to show some appreciation to all of those cybersecurity experts that have strong ethics. Now, to finish off this video, I'd like to say that I am not by any means an expert in ethics. I'm not even an expert in cybersecurity. I probably made some mistakes in this video, I probably said things that you don't agree with, and I'm open to all forms of discussion and constructive criticism. But I also want to make a call out to everybody to kind of think about what we as a community could do to make sure that everybody, from a beginner coming into the field to a seasoned professional, that we all stay ethical. I think it's an interesting question. What can we do? And I don't have an answer for it. But I'd love to find one together with all of you. Now, I really didn't know if I wanted to release this video or not. This is so different from all of my other content, and I don't know if I came across as arrogant, maybe pretentious. But this has kind of been in my head for a while, and I got a situation to get a little clickbaity with it, and hopefully that ended up getting this topic to some people who needed to hear it. Well, whatever the case may be, it is out now, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to potentially see you back in the next one. Take care.